So look, January 7th right now as we record, there's going to be a lot of people starting to give their award predictions, who should win MVP, who should win most improved, rookie of the year, all that stuff. Me personally, I haven't paid attention to awards in like 3 years. It's a whole lot of narratives and a whole lot of – we saw what happened last year with the MVP. Got a little ridiculous with Jokic can't win again because he didn't win in the playoffs last season, and then he wins a championship. And it's like, oh, well, let's just forget we all said that. I don't want to get into all that stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to get ahead of it, and we're going to give out awards our way. We're not doing just this year. We're doing this decade. Well, why did I say decade? Not decade. We're not doing a decade. We're doing this era. So basically, all active players throughout their careers. And so, for example, if LeBron wins an award, it's going to be LeBron from 2003 to now. We're going to go over this person's career. But we're going to give out these awards, and we're going to give out these awards in a different way because I also not really that big of a fan of the way awards are given out. And so, Frankie, we have Lou, we have it was Lou's idea actually to do this. And so just some quick thoughts about awards and how y'all feel about them and how they're usually given out.
Oh, yeah, just awards in general, man. It feels like there's always narratives tied to them. Voters fatigue becomes a thing. People start, like the first year that they're given the award, it's all like kind of like stat based and stuff like that. And then a narrative based. But then the next year, if they do the same thing, it doesn't matter because they didn't get better technically. But does that change the fact that they're still the best player in the league? Who knows? They're whatever. It's just cool to talk about. And it's definitely something that I think merits. That's why I'm glad we're doing the show. It's kind of like awards our way in a sense. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool, man. That's for sure.
And Frankie?
Yeah, man. It's always fun to talk about awards because there's so much into it. Lou, you mentioned stats, but it's about your team, how your team's doing, how dependent your team is on you. When we talk about like defensive awards, we talk about a lot of role players get more included in there, but you can mention guys like you look at like a guy like Mikal Bridges, his defense has slipped because now he's the first option. But so you see how hard it is to maintain both the defense and the scoring and the responsibility. Makes you appreciate guys who had to do it longer, like PG, Kawhi, LeBron, and Jimmy, of course, Giannis, all these guys that have to do both. So it's there's a lot of factors that goes into it. It's a lot of fun to discuss, and I think everybody has good points. Well, most of the time, we sometimes we get deep in the weeds on Twitter and NBA talk, but like I think you can discuss a lot of different perspectives, and I think everybody for the most part has good points.
And we do have one more caveat to these awards we're giving out, because a lot of times guys get snubbed and we kind of leave guys out on certain things. So what we're doing, and I'm going to give credit where it's due. This is Frankie's idea. We're going to all have a different player. So if, for example, if Lou goes first and he chooses a player I wanted, I have to choose somebody else. We're going to go ahead, man. We're going to show these players a lot of love because it's real trendy to like be real negative on players. And this guy, he's averaging 30, but he had 14 tonight. He's terrible. Get him out the league. We don't want to be that show. We don't. So that's what it's going to be tonight. Awards, different players from each of us. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 9 of Playoff Foul. We've been getting a lot of love lately, so we want to, first of all, appreciate y'all for that. You know what I mean? Shout out to Iman coming on last episode, talking about OG Anunoby and the Raptors and all that stuff. And so once again, I got Frankie G with me. Frankie, how you doing?
Doing well, guys. Missed you guys. It's been a while. Happy New Year, everybody.
Lou, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's been a chill week, man. Got to talk some more hoops. Let's get it.
Yeah, and so we're going to go ahead and just get into it. First things first, man. We have All-NBA first team. We're not doing second and third. All-NBA first team. But once again, it's the era. So all active players based on their whole careers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Frankie first because he hasn't been here for a while. So, Frankie, what is your all-NBA first team? Well, all this era NBA first team.
I mean, I think it's the definitive guy to pick of the era. It would be crazy not to pick this guy first. He's the definitive player of the era. LeBron James. LeBron James, man. Like, for all the hype coming into the league, he's 40 years old, still doing it. Doing it for 20 plus years, 21 plus years. Like now, like it's crazy. Everything he's accomplished, 4 times champions, multiple time MVP, all the first team NBA, all NBAs, won a championship with 3 different teams. He's just accomplished so damn much in this era. I think it's inarguable that he's a top 3 player of all time.
No question.
And at the very least, like if you want to go crazy, like you can't talk about him not being a top 5 player of all time. Mm-hmm. But I think top 3 is where he's settled in. Yeah. And amazing career. We're gonna miss him when he's gone, when he's not playing in the league anymore. But it's just been a joy to watch his whole career as a Heat fan, as a basketball fan.
Yeah, and so before people jump on Frankie, we're gonna let y'all know we don't do the GOAT debate over here. It's overdone. We don't care that much. We'll be vague with it. Is what it is. I'm gonna also, well, I can't say LeBron, but I will just look. We have an episode on LeBron. There's nothing more. Frankie wasn't here for that. Me and Lou, we don't have much else to say. We went through his whole career. Incredible. Like Frankie said, if you want to call him greatest of all time, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have an argument against it. If you don't, I also don't care. Is what it is. But I also have to go with the definitive, another definitive player of this era. For some reason, he gets called the best of all time in one specific skill, and it is undeniable. But as far as being credited as one of the best players of all time in general, he has to be reminded. Well, people have to be reminded of him a lot, maybe because of the coast he plays on. But I mean, it's obvious from the beginning of all this. It's Steph Curry. Now, and I've said this before. Now, he's the best college player I've ever seen. Granted, I don't watch a lot of college, but he's the best college player I've ever seen. And coming into the league, there was a lot of questions about him. I didn't understand why. Because even with him being this quote-unquote undersized shooting guard, with somebody that skilled scoring the ball, it's difficult to miss on him. They'd have to be injured or something like that. I don't care how slow he is. I don't care how small he is. And I mean, look, greatest 3-point shooter of all time. Clearly, that's no debate. Just racking up every time he makes a 3, he sets a new record. And it's just like off the dribble. It's not just a shooting. He's an underrated rebounder. He's improved defensively over the years. He does some of everything. He only gets credit for the shooting, but he does some of everything. He's been doing some of everything for a very long time. And so I'm going to give him the credit because, look, they play late games for a lot of us. I'm on Central Time now. I moved to Dallas from Miami last year, the year before last. And so I understand him being left out if you're just not seeing him. But, man, you got to give that dude the credit he deserves. So I'm going with Steph Curry.
No, there's no discussing those first 2 guys that you guys selected, obviously. Revolutionized the game of basketball. So, and I'm going to go with somebody who, I don't know if revolutionize is the right word, but I do think he is, he's in the debate for one of the best scorers ever, point blank period. And it's got to be Kevin Durant. It's got to be KD. You can hate him for what he did. Shit, I don't think it was right either, but that's just my opinion. But you can't deny, you can't let that hate fog your mind when you watch this man play basketball. He is literally like a my generated player. Like he should do with the things that he does. Multiple time champion, just an all around scorer, like a walking bucket. He is, like, everything he does, and he's improved as well in facets of his games, whether that's been rebounding, playmaking, swapping roles, getting accustomed to playing with different people. He's moved around a lot, so he's had to kind of mold his game around others sometimes. And there's not much more that needs to be said. It was unfair that two of these players were on the same team for a period of time. That's kind of what it feels like. But man, it was just literally historic basketball that they gave us. So there's not much more to say for Kevin Durant, and he's probably the best scorer that the NBA had seen in a long time.
So you know what? I'm expounding on your initial point about whether or not Kevin Durant revolutionized the game. Look, he's a very polarizing player, very hated for going to Golden State. I'm in the minority of not really caring that much, but I also understand it. But as far as him revolutionizing the game, we do have to look at it. I mean, the other night we were kind of marveling at the things Victor Wembanyama was doing. That doesn't happen if there's no Kevin Durant. Now, there were guys who came before him who were tall and could handle, but yeah, first Magic Johnson, but he was a point guard, pass first, different era. He wasn't really looking to score like that. Then you had like early 2000s, you had like Jonathan Bender in Indiana, but he got injured. Darius Miles in LA, but he got injured and he kind of bounced around and he didn't end up panning out. And they also weren't really scorers like that. Well, Jonathan Bender could have been, but he had the injuries. Kevin Durant comes along, 6'11", 7 feet, handling like a guard, shooting. I can't even say like a guard because he shoots better than most guards. Yeah. And it's just like, so did Kevin Durant revolutionize the game? Absolutely. I don't think there's any denying that. And you could try to deny it, but it's look around. You got, look. Like
kids want to be like KD.
Victor Wembanyama. You got Chet Holmgren, tall, handling, and shooting. Cooper Flag is a couple years away. He's like 6'8" right now, but he's also like 15 years old. Porzingis, like Kevin Durant,
Smith, all these guys coming in big, ready to shoot.
Big, ready to shoot, ready to handle, and that's all Kevin Durant's work. It's all Kevin Durant's work. And so big credit to him. Up next, player number 2. And if you've noticed, we're not going by position, just whatever. That wasn't on purpose. It just is what it is. So player number 2, I'll go first on this. And Lou, I'm gonna have to apologize for you because I know this is somebody you got your eye on. And you know where I'm going with this. And also, if you follow me on social media a long time ago and you just stopped paying attention, this may surprise you. I got to go with James Harden. Look.
Oh, thank God.
Look, damn. I understand he's also polarizing because of playoff stuff. I get it. But I can't be a hypocrite. I can't praise Luka for the 60-point triple-double and all the crazy numbers he's putting up without acknowledging James Harden doing that. And I mean, we can talk about him helping Houston, whenever it was, but you also got to remember, not really. Chris Paul, great player, right? Dwight Howard, he was coming off of an injury. Some of those teams, they made the playoff. Well, put it this way. They weren't supposed to win all those regular season games anyway.
Yep.
With the rosters they had for the most part. The Chris Paul team, yes. But outside of that, I don't know. I really don't know. And we're talking about somebody who averaged 35 plus one year. I have to give him credit for that. I believe one of those years, and I didn't look it up before, but I believe one of those years he also he led the league in both scoring and assists. And to also look at what he's doing with the Clippers right now. We're not even really mentioning guys what they're doing right now today for the most part. But for him to go to a Clippers team and to be looked down upon in a sense, and we also spoke about the team early on, and we said, no, this team's going to be good. You can go back and watch that video. But it's like, man, look, for him to go to that team and be the point guard they were missing this whole time, and to actually, and I'm going to give him credit for this too, because he gets a lot of slack about being selfish or whatever it was. He was in Houston. He was like, you know what? I don't want to be the guy who has to score 40 every night anymore. So he goes to Philly. Last season, he leads the league in assists per game on one hamstring. And I feel like that should have told us something. But now he goes to the Clippers, and once again, it's that's not gonna mean nothing because he needs the ball. I don't know where you got that idea from. Yeah, maybe he's gonna share the ball when he has it regardless. And so it's just like, man, I used to not be the biggest fan of the guy, but you can't deny that kind of talent. And so my second player I'm taking off the board is James Harden. Lou, I apologize for that.
Hey,
but
shit.
I'm sure you're going to snatch one of mine up too at one point. But I'm going to you now. Who's your next player?
I'm going to go with somebody who I feel like is another very polarizing basketball player. I'm going to go with Anthony Davis. I feel like
he was on one of my lists.
I feel like Anthony Davis is just first of all, if this team is playing together, I got KD and AD is an issue for y'all, but I'm not going to get into that. No, but Anthony Davis came into the league I believe he was a first pick. Just came in as a defender.
Yeah.
11 years later, he's still an elite defender. It's crazy what he does on that side of the ball. Plus, now he's added so much more to his game. He's so much more efficient. He's also won a championship. Like, just the man, he has. It felt like every time he's on the floor, the team is just significantly better. Even when he was with the Pelicans, he was able to get them to win a playoff series against Damian Lillard after they came off of Western Conference Finals, like him and Boogie. It's just, man, just in general, like what he has done for the game of basketball. Somebody who, in an era where positionless basketball is a thing, I still think he remains a tweener. He's been a tweener. He said he's not comfortable playing the 5, but he's played the 5. He's played the 4. He has played more perimeter oriented for a big. He bangs down low for a big. Like, he's just an all around player. And I think perhaps the best defender that we've named so far, just an absolute menace. It'd be shameful to not state what he does on that end. Defensive player of the year worthy damn near every year. Voters fatigue becomes a thing. Sometimes the team isn't as good as you want him to be. But if you watch Anthony Davis play basketball, you can say what he wants. Sometimes he doesn't shoot enough, yada, yada, whatever it is. But defensively, he is an absolute menace every game. One of the most versatile bigs. He can just execute any coverage, and he has for 11 years. I'd be remiss not to talk about him as one of the best players of this era.
All right. Frankie, who you got next?
I know you're not talking about your team being tough to stop when I'm going to add Nikola Jokic to LeBron James.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Come on, man. Get out of here. He's going to put that toothpick in the blender. All right. Take him to the woodshed. This guy, listen, he hasn't hit 30. He is not 30 years old yet.
That's crazy.
He has played 8 seasons. He's a 5-time all NBA player already, 2-time MVP, just won his first championship. I've been watching, look, I've honestly been watching basketball since 03-04. I've seen Shaq. I've seen a lot of talented big men. I've seen Dwight. I've seen Chris Bosh. I've seen KG, Dirk. This guy is insane. I saw him do to Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, and Bam Adebayo in one playoff run. That's the 3 of the best, defenders in the league right now and all time. And he had no problem with them. Took them all to the woodshed. Took him all to the cleaners, whatever you want to say. He is a special talent, one of the greatest passers of all time, that regardless of position, clutch scorer. I've only been watching basketball since that time, but there's nobody that comes close in that time with the kind of touch around the rim in the floater range. I think he shoots like 67% from floaters. And that's better than some guys shoot layups. Like, his touch is insane. His hook shots, his passing, like, he's got everything in the bag and that you need. And yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like that, it's a young career, but he's accomplished more in 8 years than most guys could dream of accomplishing.
And he's another one I feel like is like under the radar, revolutionizing the game a little bit. So for sure. And also somebody, because there were precursors to him. So shout out to Arvydas Sabonis, who started that whole thing in Europe, the point center pretty much coming up the court, flashy passes, all that stuff. He just came to the NBA. He was a 35-year-old rookie. Like, what are you going to do with that? No, 31-year-old rookie was what it was. Then Vlade Divac comes to the league under him, sort of. Same thing with the Lakers. Bringing the ball up, behind the back passes, flashy. But Nikola Jokic, it's to the point with him to where, like, I'll watch other bigs get doubled and not pass to the opposite corner. And I'll almost be like, how dare you? But it's like, that's just not a normal thing to be able to do. And so what I mean by him revolutionizing his game is now you have Alperen Şengün, who has an all-star case this year, being like, hey, I idolize Nikola Jokic. And I'm sure there's going to be other guys who come in, and it's going to start to be, because teams are still on their small ball 5 kind of play, make, kick a little bit. But I feel like there's going to come a time where the Nikola Jokic type player, at least type, because you're not going to beat him. But I feel like that's going to kind of be the next wave in the NBA after the whole KD Wemby thing. But I got my next pick. And look, I understand. I told his teammate last time, It's fine. I understand injuries exist. That's cool. But there was a point in time, and you can deny it if you want, but I remember there was a point in time where Kawhi Leonard could have been considered the best player in the NBA. And we saw it firsthand as Heat fans in 2014 finals. I hated what I saw as a Heat fan, but I loved what I saw as a basketball fan. It's just like you have this. So my favorite thing about defenders is not being able to take them out of any kind of scheme. Wherever you put Kawhi Leonard on the floor, he's shutting you down. And I understand it's not the same as it was before the injuries, but he's still ridiculous on that end. And then to add the scoring the way he has, as fast as he did, to be able to shoot as well as he does with hands as big as he has is absurd, because that's just not supposed to happen. The athleticism is, I don't want to call him athletic, but it's a little, it's not athleticism, it's strength. Just being able to play this bully ball type style and also have that type of reliable jumper, and to just be able to do all this stuff and to be a flawless NBA player, which, like, even the most versatile players, a lot of times, like, they'll have one thing, like maybe you could point at free throws, or maybe you could point at maybe they're just small, and you get Kawhi Leonard has no weaknesses aside from health. And that's a ridiculous thing to, like, it's crazy. And to be like on that high of a level on all these skills, I just couldn't pass him up. I had to go with Kawhi Leonard on this one.
No argument.
Man is a machine. Like, aside from health, like you said, he is a literal machine. Like, even what you're seeing him now, what he's doing this year, and how they've made that team work, it's been crazy.
And so, Lou, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get the next pick off you.
Oh man,
please don't say what. Please don't.
I get the first pick next round, right? Because
yeah. My bad.
I haven't had the first. Look, man, I haven't had the first pick, so I don't want to hear.
We'll go Lou next round, because goddamn,
I'm taking Giannis Antetokounmpo.
God damn it,
man! Look, if y'all had a score against this team, I don't know what y'all gonna do, man. Giannis, man, we got to talk about him, man. He's been special. He's been probably, I guess. I don't know if this is kind of like hot takey, but I mean, my name is Saucy Takes. It is what it is. Giannis is this era's version of Shaquille O'Neal. You know what he's good at, and you still can't stop him. He's not the best shooter, and it does not matter. It literally doesn't matter. Somebody to be that big, that strong, it's astonishing what he does. And then defensively, him just like when he plays like the free safety role defensively, has won a defensive player of the year. I think he should have at least. And it's just been he's won 2 or 3, I think. 2 or 3. Man, he's been special. Like I said, during this era, he's been special. Has a championship now under his belt with a historic closeout game, dropping 50. And it was just everything he's done. Wasn't a highly touted player, yada yada. None of that stuff. Came into the league as a mid-teen pick, developed his way into what he is today. Hard worker and just a menace. He's won an MVP before. Probably should still be. He's been in contention, it seems like, damn near every year for the last 5-6 years. He's been in discussions, and rightfully so, along with Defensive Player of the Year discussions, which just tells you how much he is as a player. And all this while not being an efficient jump shooter or whatever, or even a free throw shooter, which is even more mind-boggling to me. So it's just, I don't know how you guys are going to match up with my KD, Giannis, and AD. I got 3 damn near 7-footers who just, hey, man, good luck, man. I'm trying, Jokic. I'm trying.
You finally put some muscle on that team.
All right, Frankie.
Oh man, I could go a couple ways with this. I think if we're trying to build the best team, I'd probably go with a different guy. But I think, like, overall, for what he's accomplished, he's this tier. He's like right below this tier of guys we've just picked. I gotta go with Chris Paul. I have the most cerebral team in basketball history.
That is a fact.
I've got the most incredible passing team. All 3 of my guys are extremely plus passers. But Chris, for all the jokes and the memes and stuff, that guy's a dog. That guy's a dog. The only thing that's held him back is a lot of injuries. But he's pulled teams that probably shouldn't have won as much as they did. you can talk about those Clippers teams that he led and couldn't overcome the Warriors and OKC. I'm sorry, he's not as good as Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, he's not as good as Steph Curry. Like those conversations. He had Doc Rivers and those and no bench, but so tough to watch before the injuries when he was still in New Orleans. The speed, the quickness, all defense selections, the steals per game, just pickpocketing, getting around screens, playing the passing lanes, live dribble, didn't matter. One of the filthiest mid-range shooters of all time, pick and roll players of all time. He got Tyson Chandler paid multiple times. You just give him a lob threat and he'll make it work. Just one of my favorite players to watch, and I'm very fortunate I got to watch him his whole career.
And I could expound on that, but look, man, like anybody who's heard pretty much any previous episode knows how much I love point guards. I don't have to say anything about Chris Paul, especially New Orleans Chris Paul. Like he should have an MVP from his stint down there, but we ain't gonna get into that right now. But
Preach.
I was going by position, right? And then y'all teams are getting a little too good. And then Lou also. I did say Lou's gonna take one of my picks. He took my main guy. I was trying to.
I was hoping to get Giannis this one too.
Good pick with Giannis. But I'm gonna go kind of off the wall on my last pick. So on my next pick, I gotta just go with. And once again, I have a history of not being a fan of this player, but you can't deny talent, you can't deny skill, and you can't deny. And this word is gonna give it away a little bit. You can't deny dominance. And so I got to go ahead. I got to take that big man from Philly. I got to go ahead. I got to go with Joel Embiid. I have to. I hate the flopping. I will. Look, I'm not excusing that.
Yeah.
So don't be mad at me for that. I'm disgusted by the flopping. He's too big for that. But he's just such a great player. It's just like he's unstoppable. Flat out. He's unstoppable. He's bringing the post game back, the mid-range. He's able to knock threes down.
Is passing now?
Yeah,
he's gotten better with passing. He's not as it's not as simple as just double Embiid and you can win. Like he's taking advantage of that now. Finally, and I don't even know if we have to talk about the interior defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm there's not much to say. The reigning MVP in real life. Once again, I'm not going to discredit him for that because the conversation got weird last year, and so I ignored it. But he won it, and I can't deny him deserving it. So. Hey, I got to go with Embiid here.
Lou, he said it was supposed to be you next. So
look, I think this next pick is going to be a hot takey one because this player's era is just getting started. But I have to build a team and I have to give him some love. I know you got, 2015 version. I'm getting Tyrese Halliburton. I need you talk about cerebral. You talk about playmaking. This man is doing it like nobody has damn near ever seen before. And it's the efficiency that he does it. It's the assist to turnover ratio. I need some shooting and that motherfucker can shoot. So I'm taking him because I think he gets a lot of love. But I think when we look back, ultimately 10 years from now, we'll be having the same conversations we have been having, with guys like Steve Nash, who we've talked about, guys like Chris Paul, who you just brought up. And I need some size too. So he can, he's out there doing his thing, but he shoots 40% from 3 on 9 attempts, averaging 13 assists and 2.5 turnovers a game. It is ridiculous, the efficiency that he does, running the league's best offense ever. And I'm pairing him with KD, AD, and Giannis. So it is what it is, man. That's what I'm taking. I'm taking Tyrese.
I didn't even think about him because he's so soon, because he's so he's really getting started just now, like you said. But that's crazy because he's my favorite player in the league right now. And I'm not a Pacers fan. I'm a Miami Heat fan, but Tyrese Halliburton, like I said, I love point guards. He's just getting these 20 games effortlessly.
No turnovers.
And he's not missing shots from any level. It's just and you know what? And this, I don't give hot takes, but I feel like this isn't even really that hot of a take. Real life, he's my pick for MVP. If I had a vote, I'd pick for him. I'd vote for him. And let me explain that. Now look, is by most valuable player. We don't go by the narratives over here. It's who's most valuable to their team. You take Tyrese Halliburton off that Pacers team, that is a bottom tier team. And so, and there's no disrespect to the other guys on that team, but also to keep in mind, we're talking about, and we've said multiple times, and it's fact, right now they're on pace to be the best offense in NBA history. What you have to keep in mind is about a year, well, when Tyrese Halliburton got to the Pacers, Rick Carlisle told him, I don't want to run plays anymore. This offense is yours. Do what you do. And so for a player that young to be just doing what he does and to be leading on pace to be the best offense of all time.
Ridiculous. On his efficiency too.
Yeah. And he's just getting started.
Exactly. I had to take him. I had to go a little bit off the walls, man, because I feel like, we're giving players their just due as they should get it for their careers. Yeah. But I need to throw some upside on this team, man.
He's not even the young guard I thought you were going with.
The other no, look, man.
I mean,
I'm holding.
No disrespect. I love Tyrese.
Yeah,
but like, there's like a lot of guys who have like had a Hall of Fame career already, not just rising all-star player. I love Tyrese. He's gonna be, if he stays healthy and everything,
he'll be up there
and keeps going. Yeah, he's gonna be up there for sure. But I'm very surprised. I love Tyrese. He's one of my favorite players in the league too.
Great name Saucy takes, man. Got to throw a curveball. Come on.
You know what? I feel comfortable going last this round.
I still haven't gone this round.
Go ahead.
Your team's too cerebral, man. You got 3 people with the brain of a starting 5 alone.
Don't worry. You know what I'm gonna add to this team? You know what this team needs? I got LeBron James. I got Chris Paul and Nikola Jokic. I need a pristine hairline. Paul George. Give me Paul George.
I love that
Hall
pick,
of Fame
man.
career. I think Kenny, you talked about KD and like his influence to the league and like young players and stuff. But I think we've really underrated how much Paul George means to the younger generation. Like his shoes are one of the more popular shoes to hoop in. A lot of players coming up are looking up to him and idolizing him because he's that 6'8" guy that can shoot. It's not easy to say. It's not easy to be 7 feet, even for the NBA players to look up to KD. But there's a lot of NBA players who are 6'8" and 6'7" and can play like PG, can aspire to be that, and realistically accomplish closer to that than Kevin Durant. But we forget because of the injuries how special he looked in Indiana. Leading those teams to the Eastern Conference Finals, #1 seeds, doing great job in OKC, and the Clippers have obviously been disappointing, but it's been largely because of injuries. The talent's always been there. The defense has been special from the beginning. I remember him. Dwayne took him to school a few times his rookie year, but you saw the flashes early on, and he went from right away guarding LeBron and Dwayne. Getting the toughest assignments, still a special player. I have my feelings for Harden aside. I would not mind PG getting his first ring this year, and adding a 6'8" wing defender who can shoot the 3 to Chris Paul, LeBron, and Jokic isn't a bad thing either.
And to add to Paul George, I've been adding on him because all these players were also on my list. I just didn't take him first.
Yeah,
but Paul George is another player with no flaws aside from health. And I understand he got a lot of jokes for like whatever. He had a bad playoff performance. Yeah. But I do want to point this out, and I don't know why nobody's ever going back to look at this. Okay, one thing is, yes, you never give yourself a nickname unless you're Kobe Bryant, but that's Kobe fucking Bryant. But when he called himself Playoff P, at the time, his numbers in the playoffs would skyrocket. And so, look, don't give yourself a name, but there was validity to it. And then he kind of tricked it off, and it was what it was. But, I'm like I said, and I've said this before, if you're building an NBA player, you probably come out with the result of Paul George. And it just is what it is. And so we can kind of snake drive this thing this time because I don't think anybody's going with my pick. I hope to God they don't because I don't have a backup. But I'll go back to Frankie this time.
Oh. You give me the draft here, man. I gotta go with the Miami guy, Jimmy Butler. Probably one. It's amazing how he's still supremely underrated. leading his teams to the finals. Defensively, like a nightmare as a help defender, and he's pairing him with PG and LeBron on the perimeter. Whoo, boy, bring me Kevin Durant. No, but he's just such a smart defender. Him and Kawhi are both underrated because they're great defenders, but they don't foul. They have more steals than fouls in their career, and that's a crazy statistic. Jimmy's an unbelievable help defender at the nail. He used to be an extremely good on-ball defender in his prime, and he's transitioned into more of an off-ball defender, and he's still really good on the ball. But defensively, he's a nightmare. He moves the ball well, cutter, mid-range, super clutch. Like his teams always do better with him on the court, no matter how he looks. He's just an amazing player to watch. And playoff Jimmy is the real thing. Like you put him in a competitive environment, he's ready to go. And yeah, he's just an unbelievable Hall of Famer. That I still think to the masses he's gonna be underrated when his career's said and done. Just because of if he isn't able to win a ring. Before it's all said and done, I think people are going to forget about him, sadly. But I think it's our job as basketball fans to remember his career and the best parts of it. And he's just one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, some of the highest highs from any players that we've mentioned so far, specifically in the playoffs recently, like he's been sensational.
Yeah, bring me Giannis. He has nightmares about Jimmy.
No, let's not talk about that. No, I think it's my turn, huh, Kenny?
Yeah.
Or are you going? Okay, so I'm stuck between two guys. One of the guys is my current favorite player in the league, and the other guy I think is the MVP this year. So, fuck it, man. I'm gonna go with SGA. I'm going with Shea. It is what it is. Just an absolute, like, man. He talk about a machine offensively. It feels like I never see him take a bad shot or a shot I believe that like he can't make. He's supremely efficient. Like, I really value efficiency in players, and he is one of the best at it. He's still crazy young, leads the league in steals, has for almost 2 consecutive years. So it's not like the defense is an aspect that's, horrendous. Obviously, steals don't make a player good or bad defensively, but he's one of the best players in deflections. He guards up, guards down. He can guard point guards. He can guard 2s and 3s too because he's like 6'6". But it's just truly his control of, it feels like everything on the court, from the 3-point line to just being one of the best, if not the best driver in all of basketball currently, specifically if we're going, by size. Just ridiculous. And his efficiency in the mid-range, his ability to get to the free throw line, his ability to make him pay when he gets to the free throw line. I'd be remiss not to talk about him. I think he is my personal opinion, I think he deserves MVP this year. I know we're not even talking about that yet, but it's just he's been that good. The reason OKC's rebuild has gone somewhat remotely what people thought it should be, because if it's something that gets overlooked. Rebuilds aren't, OKC this isn't one-off. Like, there's teams that have been rebuilding for years, like the Pistons. Like, shit happens. Like, but the difference is they got themselves an SGA, and it just fast-forwarded their entire rebuild. Obviously, they've been drafting good aside from him, but just him alone, like, you can just tell the impact that he's had on that team, and the impact is, it put him up there from like 2 years ago being like the laughing stock of the league to like currently being damn near the favorites to win the West. Like, it's ridiculous. So SGA is rounding out my team.
And real quick, you talk about the OKC rebuild. They turned Serge Ibaka into SGA because they turned Serge Ibaka. They traded Serge Ibaka for Oladipo. They traded Oladipo for PG, and they traded PG for SGA.
That is crazy.
That's how you move on to the next era. And they got 4 or 5 picks with SGA to go with that. Just
crazy,
fantastic building. And OKC is one of the funnest teams to watch. SGA.
For sure.
I would not argue SGA as MVP either.
Now look, you're gonna have to hear me out on this one.
God, here we go.
No. I'm not doing that.
No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm not doing that. So remember, now I have James Harden on my team, right? I have Joel Embiid. Those are kind of crazy personalities, right? Real off the wall.
Uh-oh.
You know where I'm going with this.
I think I know where you're going with this. He's just
But-
gonna have an all maniac team. That's what it
No,
sounds like.
but remember, one of the criteria I chose on this is the impact they had on this era. And I feel like this player's impact kind of goes underrated because his teammate also changed the game on the other end of the floor.
No,
And also, I need some help on defense. So, y'all gonna have to hear me out because I'm explaining. I got to go with Draymond Green. I needed a 4. I got to go with Draymond Green. Now, remember, first of all, we're talking about whole career. So, about whole career. At one point, Draymond Green, especially 2015, he was knocking threes down, all kinds of stuff. But here's why the main reason I picked him is impact on the era. It goes underrated. Now, there's a few things you got to keep in mind. So, Steph Curry comes into the league. Yeah, he has injury issues, but also it's like I mentioned before, he comes in, he's sort of a tweener. They don't know what to do with him because, yeah, he's a point guard size, but he's more of a scorer. And he also at the time doesn't really defend well, all these things, whatever. But when Steve Kerr comes in, he empowers Draymond Green. Now that takes the pressure off of Steph because Draymond can run the offense, right? So now Steph can come off his actions, all this stuff. And on the defensive end, we know what Draymond is. And so while Steph Curry was changing the game on offense with the shooting, Draymond Green made it to where now you can't play a big really because he's out there, he's guarding up, he's switching everything, he's blowing up every action. And so if I'm going to have James Harden on my team, I got to have a defender like that. And so I couldn't go with Bam just yet because not yet.
That's fine. That's
not yet.
Okay.
So I had to go with Draymond because he was knocking threes down at the time, like I said.
I love the pick, so
look,
I'm not mad at it at all.
And
I'm more upset with lose picks.
And it's look, it's not a hot take. It just doesn't get mentioned as much as it's supposed to. Like I said, while Steph Curry was changing the game on offense, Draymond Green was changing the game on defense. And to this day, if you can't go out and guard the perimeter, you have trouble staying on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all Draymond Green's work. And so I got to go with Draymond to round it out. And so what we're going to do now, because we didn't go by position, we're going to just kind of give a quick recap on our teams. So my lineup is Steph Curry at the point, James Harden at the 2, Kawhi Leonard at the 3, Draymond Green at the 4, Joel Embiid at the 5.
That's a squad right there. That's a squad right there.
I got Embiid. If we need to go to the post, I got Embiid. He can also run some stuff with Steph. Draymond can run the offense at times. Harden can run the offense at times. You can switch off and get Harden on you, but you're gonna have some trouble with Draymond lurking around wherever it is, and you also can't just post James Harden up. Steph Curry's an underrated defender, and also just the space it's gonna create with Embiid in the post. And I wish I could have got Jokic. That would have been dangerous, but with Embiid in the post and Steph out at the logo, it's just like it'll be tough to deal with. Now I don't know if it's going to be anybody's team because my power forward is not a superstar, but it's what it is. So
sometimes you don't need a superstar.
And so, Frankie, you give a quick recap on your team.
Real quick, Draymond's a 4-time All-Star, 4-time champ, 8-time All-Defense, a deep boy. Like that's he's got a resume.
His name is associated with some crazy stuff, and I understand.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
I now understand like the backpack meme with the jumper and like he doesn't shoot the ball anymore, but he's a Hall of Famer, whether you like it or not.
I love that Ketty surrounded Harden and Embiid with Steph and Kawhi, just in case they needed that levelness. that choke is supported.
the steady support. Yeah. Go ahead with your team, Frank.
My team, I got CP3 at the 1. I got Jimmy Butler at the 2, PG at the 3, LeBron at the 4, and Nikola Jokic at the 5. My team could pass. Everybody is a plus passer on this team. 3 of them are 3 of the best passers to ever do it. Can hit you from the mid-range, inside. We can run the offense through like 4 or 5 to all 5 of these guys, really.
Yeah.
But we still got everybody besides Jokic was a really great defender, all defense level defender. And Jokic isn't that bad. He's a big body. He's hard to get around. Yeah. And you got enough to cover him in the meantime, and versatile because you got 2013 LeBron James out there in the perimeter, can guard 1 through 5.
Hey, no argument for me. Two very stacked teams. I think my team is the underdog, but it's fine. That's how we like to roll, man. I got Halliburton at the 1, SGA at the 2, KD at the 3, Giannis at the 4, AD at the 5.
Still stacked.
Yeah,
I think it's a new era team, which is kind of what I was going for. I think first of all, I think the 3 people that have played the longest on my team, it doesn't matter what era they fucking play in, they're all dogs. But I think the Halliburton, SGA, I think they can both play in any era too. But I'm just saying, like, it's quicker pace. I got the spacing I need. Everybody can shoot aside from Giannis, and even then, it doesn't matter if he can't shoot because the whole league knows he can't shoot, and he still gets 15 free throws. Shooting sometimes is overvalued in some of these aspects. Talk about headiness. I got Hallie running the show, man. I got AD anchoring the defense along with Giannis on the weak side, so it doesn't really matter. And I got SGA flying off. Yeah, and Kate, I got length, I got size, I got skill. I do want to give, if I can, 2 special. I kind of want to say like
honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 2 players that I would have, probably, my team would probably look better if I did take, and that is Damian Lillard.
We look so salty.
Yeah.
We look like such salty Heat fans.
Yeah. No, look, Damian Lillard is the second best shooter the NBA has probably ever seen. He's the second behind Steph Curry. His ability to, he's actually, this is a crazy stat. He's been a better like 30 plus feet 3-point shooter through his career than Steph Curry has, which is ridiculous on roughly the same amount of volume. And he was an offensive engine, like one of the best offensive engines the league had seen for some time, especially for a player that small. And the second player I want to give an honorable mention to is Luka Doncic. A lot gets, slandered, I guess, his style of game, much like Harden, very ISO-centric, but sometimes it doesn't fucking matter when he's that efficient and his vision is that good. It's not like, you don't want a player who's ISO-centric who either can't score or can't pass the ball, and he can do both of them, so it's fine. And I think those are just 2 players that, were in heavy consideration for me. I decided to go a little bit low, a little bit, more new this year because, it's a new era team, man.
So you know what? I just came up with this idea while you were talking. So yeah, both of those players, but we'll just go ahead and just have 2. So instead of honorable mentions, we'll do like 2 reserves. Yeah, 2 reserves.
Shit, you give me Damon and Luke. Oh shit, we pulling from the logo, dog. It doesn't matter.
So my 2 reserves, actually that's a great idea because they can also fit with our starting lineups. So my 2 reserves, and I'm gonna sound like a Warriors fan probably. No, actually, no. I'm not going for Clay. I'm gonna go with Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Because I think what happens, like he gets in a lot of trouble with the stuff he posts and stuff he says, but people forget how good of a player Kyrie Irving is. And he's been injured this year also, and so it's like, man, so you put him out there with a Kawhi, and you have a defender with him like Draymond, where his shortcomings on that end don't really shine as much, and you in some trouble. You're in some trouble. People forget about that 2016 run also, where he was with LeBron, and yes, LeBron's from Cleveland, and yes, LeBron absolutely deserved Finals MVP, but Kyrie was right there next to him. That was not a case of LeBron dragging somebody to a win. And so my first reserve is Kyrie Irving. My second reserve, and not to sound like a homer, but look, man, I need some more defense, and I need somebody who can run the offense a little bit also. I'm going with Bam Adebayo. Underrated player, even if I wasn't a Miami Heat fan, especially this version of him with the mid-range jumper. Also, just still being able to switch. You know what I mean? So if Joel Embiid is kind of getting taken advantage of on the perimeter, sub him out. No disrespect, but sub him out, put Bam in, and now you're in some real trouble. Because now Steph can't really be picked on anyway, but you have to try to do that because, well, you will got the James Harden most likely. But you're putting the best defender arguably in the league in the game, and he can also run the offense. You also have not Duncan Robinson, who's been incredible.
You have
coming off these dribble handoff
combo.
You have dribble handoff with Bam Adebayo and Steph Curry, and you can do this from the logo. And you have the most dangerous shooter of all time and one of the most dangerous rollers in the league starting that pick and roll out of the logo. And so if your screen navigation or you're not in you can't be in the drop. you're stuck either way. Like no matter what, you are stuck. So my reserves are going to be Kyrie Irving and Bam Adebayo. And so Frankie, who are your two reserves?
You guys got some great picks. I was gonna say Dame and Luca were my honorable mentions. Before Lou took them from me, I'm gonna give this guy a shout out because I'm not gonna pick him, and I think we would get heat if we didn't even mention this guy. But Russell Westbrook, is
for sure,
a Hall of Fame player.
Brody,
not my favorite player, but I've actually since I forgot what year it was, but the year PG was in OKC with him. That was the year I started really loving how he was playing, and he wasn't. It didn't feel like he was chasing the stats as much from that period on. He was still getting the stats, but it was more like it felt more of an impact in the game and winning. And I liked it. I appreciated him a lot more. And like even my personal feelings aside, he's a Hall of Fame player, no doubt.
For sure,
MVP, triple double machine. Like he's fun to watch. One of the craziest motors I've ever seen.
Man.
That guy had like 1% all-time athleticism and would go 100% all the damn time.
Yep.
Appreciate watching him. My top two though, reserve guys. I'm gonna stay with some versatility. I like the size. Jason Tatum, first team All-NBA guy to already led his team to the finals one year. Unfortunately, got stopped by Steph Curry. But I feel like he's just kind of still scratching the surface of what he could be. And I've loved him since I started watching him at I think it was the under 18 Team USA first time I saw Jason Tatum play. And he's just really special talent. MVP cases every year, first team All-NBA cases every year. One of the best teams, scorers, leaders. He's developing as a passer, really great off-ball defender. And unfortunately he plays for the Celtics, so I can't root for him like I want to do, but he's an awesome player. And then another guy that I love watching him play, and I've loved his growth, especially since the bubble year, Devin Booker. Just a fucking dog in the mid-range. It's such an improved playmaker that from a guy who was strictly a scorer and could make a play, could make some reads, to a guy who can legitimately run offense through, set his teammates up, make the defense bend at his will on the ball. Much improved defender too. His efforts improved so much, and he's a 6'6" guy with strength and quickness. I'll still joke on him for that for the pickup double team stuff, but that makes him better. That makes him better. And watching him make his way to the finals in 2021 was a lot of fun. Fortunately, couldn't get it done, but I think he's still got a lot of great career left, and I think he's an easy pick for me personally.
So I do want to make a quick point, right? Because you mentioned this player. So Russell Westbrook is the reason why I don't judge players on what they can't do. I judge players based on what they're asked to do and how well they match up to that. And so Russell Westbrook, what I mean by that is you can talk about the turnovers, you can talk about him missing shots, not being the most efficient at times, but I look at players' complete games also. And so whatever possessions he gives up, he's going to get you right back, because it's not every day that a point guard is averaging double-digit rebounds. I understand. Steven Adams gave him some of those rebounds. Fine. But we talked about his motor. Most of those rebounds, regardless of whatever like icing he may have put on the cake or may not have, he was still getting after it on the boards. He was still getting after it. And it's also just not his teammates' job to stop him from getting rebounds. And so if there's nobody on the opposing team back there and Steven Adams just lets one go, then whatever, who cares? It should be on your scouting report to keep this guy off the glass anyway. And so that just is what it is. And so, like I said, he may give the ball over with a turnover, or he may take an ill-advised shot because his motor's so high that he may just go a little too fast and make a bad decision. But he's gonna get you the ball right back and then some. And so he honestly just slipped my mind. No, he was right here on my list. I should have just said him as my reserve. That was Kyrie. But yeah, so credit to Russell Westbrook. He gets a lot of hate, and I don't really understand why.
Yeah.
Shout out to Russ Game 5 in the 2012 finals.
Oh man. It's not defensive player of the year because we're doing multiple years. We're just gonna go with best defender. And now I've expressed my gripe about this before. It usually just goes to either a wing or a big. Guards never get any love on this award. The first two actually did go to a guard. It went to Sidney Moncrief for the Milwaukee Bucks. And then Gary Payton got one and then Jordan got one in 88. Gary Payton got one in 96. And then nobody got another one until Marcus Smart in 2022.
Rob Dam. Sorry.
And it's just, so I don't love that. And I'm not saying the NBA should implement this idea because you probably should just have one guy, but I just think the guard should get more love. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go best defender of this era. We're gonna do backcourt and we're gonna do front court. And so honestly, I'm just gonna go first this time because it's an obvious pick, I think, in the backcourt. And I have to go with Jrue Holiday. He's just been, you know what? You can't call Jrue Holiday underrated anymore because everybody calls him underrated and that no longer makes him underrated. Mm-hmm. But to be able to guard 1 through 4 as a 6'4" point guard is completely ridiculous. To be able to blow up every action all the time, he's somebody you cannot screen. And that's one of the gripes I have with the Defense Player of the Year award. Usually is screen navigation is such a small thing. It's viewed as such a small thing, but it's such a huge thing. Where if you can't get screened, the offense just simply can't do what they want to do. The whole play is messed up. And so Jrue Holiday is somebody you just can't screen. And so that means something. He has quick hands. He doesn't really foul that often. He's just extremely disciplined. He'll block your shot if he needs to. Whether it's help defense, whether it's on ball, whether it's whatever it is, he has it all covered. You can't overpower him. You can't post him up. It's just, I'm going with Jrue Holiday in my backcourt for best defender in this era.
Completely fair. Caitlin Cooper posted a clip of him in the middle of playing the middle of the 2-3 zone. And then once the ball got below the free throw line, they switched it to the man-to-man. There's no other point guard that can do that. Maybe Marcus Smart, but I wouldn't even believe that because Drew's just that good, like a legitimately plus defender guarding any position, except when he's guarding Jimmy Butler. But you can't argue that. But I think that's a great pick. That was going to be my number one pick. Lou, who's your best defender?
I'll let you go because you're not taking my guy.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely not taking your guy. There comes a balance between playing, being a superstar and defending. And, like we talked about Bridges, like you see guys can't keep that up when they have more responsibility. So I'm always going to give those star players credit, a little bit more credit when they have more offensive responsibility. You can honorable mention guys. We'll talk about those guys after Luke makes his pick, but I'm going to go Jimmy Butler. Just the versatility. He's another guy who can guard 1 through 4. Has had to guard 5s at time on switches. Let Bam switch on the perimeter, guard man to man, and Jimmy will switch on the 5 and hold his own. I talked about the steals, more steals and fouls. So the stocks are there. The help is there. He blows up so many actions that won't show up on the stat sheet. And he's just an incredible defender. Has been since he came in as a rookie in Chicago. He's just a big positive for his team, and he's never going to get the award love that he deserves. But I think he's easily a better defender than some other guys that have gotten more accolades. And I think I would rather have him as a defender than most of those guys.
Mm-hmm. No argument for me. So my backcourt defender. Again, all I'm focusing on is defense. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit about anything else at this moment in time. I'm between two people, but I'm gonna give it to Alex Caruso. Talk about a player who's literally in this league because he could defend. A player who's in this league getting the minutes that he's getting because he can defend. He has been statistically the best point of attack defender in basketball for a little bit over 2 years now. It just blows up the most screen actions, navigates through screens, pickpockets. Defense to me is also just more than like contesting and finishing the shot. Like it's hustling, it's diving for loose balls, it is grit, effort, all that. And obviously he doesn't have the responsibility of some of the guys you've mentioned. I completely get that, but he puts his heart and soul into every defensive stop. And there's a reason why these trade rumors are going around with Zach LaVine, with DeMar DeRozan, and everybody wants Alex Caruso.
Absolutely.
There is a reason for that. And it's not to discredit LaVine. It's not to discredit DeRozan. No, and nothing of that sort. It's just to give credit to a basketball player who can fit into any scheme just because of how fucking willing he is to put his life on the line on that end of the court. And, Marcus Smart, other guys who probably have gotten more credit than him because of the teams that they've played for, the roles that they've played, the minutes that they've played. But I need to give credit to Caruso because I'd be shameful of myself if I didn't, for what he does defensively, specifically at the point of attack.
No argument.
I don't have an argument with you either. I feel like he's not a big name, so he doesn't get the credit. And that's one of the things that doesn't make sense to me also, because I was looking at some of the all defensive teams just all the time. And it's like some of those years, guys got it because of their name, but they have their name because of offense. So it's kind of like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so I'm going to give you credit for that because Alex Caruso is absolutely one of the best defenders in the NBA. And so I don't have an argument for you either. But we're gonna go front court now. And
wait, can we mention some honorable mentions real quick for the backcourt?
Yeah,
just quick names: Chris Paul, absolute dog. Marcus Smart, Depoy, versatile.
Paul George,
Pest, Paul George. Just a bunch of guys. And for like the up and coming guys, Herb Jones.
That was gonna be my guy too, man. That was good. I decided not to do it because he's only played like 2 years, but god damn it. Look at his defensive field goals like against the Stars. It's a problem. He's a problem.
The first time I saw Herb Jones, I went to a Mavs Pelicans game and I had no idea who Herb Jones was. but I'm looking at him play and I'm just like, yo, this guy is everywhere. This guy can't get screened. He's switching 1 through 4. He's a pest. He's got to weigh like 170 pounds, but he is fucking solid speed, lengthy. He's that football player that you have to put on your team because he can move and guard up and be a pest. But he's an incredible defender. He's one of the most fun defensive players I've ever seen.
He's somebody. If the Pelicans end up getting it together one of these years, he better win the Defense Player of the Year.
He should already be in mentions with how good.
Yeah, he should already be in the conversation.
He should already 100% be in the conversation. That man is a absolute menace.
Yeah, and so we're gonna move on to the front court now, because Frankie kind of mentioned all the backcourt honorable mentions pretty much. So front court, we're gonna go with Lou first.
Okay,
I went first and then Frankie went. I know where you're going with this.
I'm not going where you think I'm going. I'm going for the complete opposite 180. I'm going Rudy Gobert.
Okay.
We're talking about this era. We're talking about anchoring a defense. It's unfortunate in the playoffs he had to guard the only team that like can truly expose some of his weaknesses. But man, everywhere Rudy Gobert goes, they have the best defense in the NBA. Like, at what point are we gonna to what Kenny says? And what this show is about, we're not focusing on players' weaknesses.
Right.
What is Rudy Gobert elite at? Drop coverage, at the level coverage, in pick and roll. What is the most ran play in basketball? It is pick and roll. And who's the guy who runs it the most? It's typically the center who's screening.
Yeah.
And if he's able to shut down these actions multiple times, defensive player of the year, one of the most criticized defensive player of the years, I felt like, since I've been, it's since Marc Gasol, which he shouldn't have won, but that's anyways. But no, seriously, like it feels like he's always like the butt of he gets the butt end of the jokes. He gets made fun of. huge credit to Donovan Mitchell, but Donovan Mitchell wasn't a world beater defensively. Some of those Utah Jazz teams, if you really look at it, it was literally Rudy Gobert out there on an island with Royce O'Neal having to make up for everybody else who can play like a defense. And he gets to Minnesota. It takes a year, but again, best defense in the NBA. Like, they're shutting people down on that end of the court. His ability to not just defend, but end the possessions, defensive rebounding. It's huge. He's literally a presence. There's a difference between a rim protector and a paint protector, because you could be a good rim protector but not know how to guard the paint to save your life, aka Hassan Whiteside, or you can be a lead at both, and that is what Rudy Gobert is. I think hands down he has to be he's one of the best defenders in this current era at the front court position.
Yeah, and you said it best with Rudy Gobert. Defense is a team concept.
For sure.
And so, yeah, like if you have this one great defender and nobody else around him can defend, he's going to look a lot worse. And no, he's not going to jump out on the perimeter and be able to shut down guards because he's over 7 feet tall. Nobody else his size is asked to do that.
Exactly.
Well. And so it's about team building in that sense. And so now he's in Minnesota and you have guys who can defend around him. And we see now he can be in the coverages he needs to be in. And we're seeing the impact it's making. The Minnesota Timberwolves are one of the best players, one of the best teams in the league. The Minnesota Timberwolves are one of the best teams in the league.
The only difference is Rudy Gobert was there.
Rudy Gobert. And
one very last thing I want to state, because I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan. He was one of my favorite guys I've seen in the draft. So I would watch the Utah games a lot when they were in the playoffs. He got made fun of because he wasn't really guarding the perimeter. A lot wasn't made on, like, the guys in the perimeter were getting blown by and he was providing help at the rim and they weren't rotating to the corner or rotating out. Right. Like but defense is a team concept. Like, one guy doesn't entirely make your defense, but it, like, in his case, he has kind of done that where he's been. And, it's not to discredit the players around him defensively, but, like, you're going to make fun of him when he's out there on the perimeter because somebody didn't rotate correctly and he's trying to close out and keep his feet against, Steph Curry's and James Harden. Like, we just talked about these guys being one of the best players of their generation offensively. Of course he's going to look bad. Yeah. Like, come on.
No, absolutely.
Shout out Rudy.
And you mentioned Hassan. So we know as Heat fans what fake rim protection looks like. For sure. And chasing blocks, getting out of position. And Rudy is a great positional defender, being a, Roy Hibbert was probably the first guy to, like, make the verticality famous and stuff. And Rudy's perfected it. The Stifle Tower inside. He doesn't need to get blocks either. Just alter shots. He's such a, like, one of the craziest wingspans and standing reaches. And he's just a menace defensively.
Yeah, and so we talked about, being able to take guys for what they are and what coverages they can be in, right? And Frankie, I'm sorry, I got to do it. I got to go home. I got to go with Bam Adebayo. Just
not going to argue. Go ahead.
Look, man. So there's a story of Bam's pre-draft workout, and for people who don't remember, Bam Adebayo was not supposed to get drafted as high as he did, but he worked out for the Heat. And the story he tells, and the story that I've also heard before he told it, is they tested him out and they had him guarding bigs, they had him guarding wings. It was like, okay, cool, you can do that. And they tested him out and they had him go out there and defend a guard. And his verbal response to Pat Riley's face was, "You got me fucked up." And needless to say, the Miami Heat drafted him a lot earlier than they were supposed to, quote unquote. And he's come out, and another example of why I don't care about awards. This is somebody who can genuinely guard 1 through 5, and not only guard 1 through 5, shut down 1 through 5. I've seen him have Kyrie Irving's field goal percentage look like a tour date. I've seen him do that to his rookie year. The first moment that really stood out was him jumping out on the perimeter and locking Steph Curry down. Yep. And, like, he's not being asked to guard people who can't score. He's not being asked to guard people who are a little slow. He's asking to be guard. Being asked to guard the best players in the NBA, whether they're a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, center, whatever it is. And he used to have some trouble with bigger players, and that's not really the case anymore as much. Aside from Nikola Jokic, who doesn't have trouble.
The
with
only exception to the rule.
The only exception. Joel Embiid used to give him problems. That's not the case anymore. We can talk about Joel having injuries last year, but we saw before. We mentioned Giannis and how incredible of a player he is. And he has trouble against Bam every playoffs. Whether he got injured or not last season, that's not the first time they matched up.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's to a point now where I know like he's gotten too good offensively to be considered a defensive player of the year because he's just not going to get the votes. And so look, he's deserved about 2 already.
Yep.
And so he's going to be my pick because it's just like if I'm not a Miami Heat fan, like I said, I'm the best defensive player in the NBA.
Completely fair. No argument. Like
No,
Bam's versatility.
Absolutely not.
He's showing he could do it in a drop and not just a switch guy. You talked about that Embiid series when Embiid came back injured, and Embiid was doing work because they were switching him on, and they were like, and Bam was like, "No, I'm gonna stay home. And Embiid didn't do much else that rest of that series. Can't argue that. I wasn't. You know what was crazy? I wasn't even considering Bam.
That is, I 100% thought you was gonna choose him.
No, I thought you were gonna go with this guy first. And I guess the honorable mention guy is going to be forgotten, but I'm going to go Draymond, just the quarterback of 4 finals, championship teams, a couple other conference champions, Depoy. He's got that. He's got the first team all defense, can switch, can play at the level, can drop, can guard. Guards can mess with. He's one of the only guys that can really mess with Jokic, and has really like stifled him and bothered him. And even still, like Jokic is just fucking incredible. But Dre is just the IQ. I think we forget about that, how important that is in part of defense. Just knowing coverages, knowing tendencies, knowing where to be. Knowing play calls, knowing where we talk. A lot of has been made about LeBron. Calling guys, other teams plays out, telling players where they're supposed to be on the other team. Mm-hmm. Dre's that same kind of like IQ there. I know Dre could make any defensive team better, and I'm not afraid to say he's been the second most important players in that dynasty. You can mention KD, but he wasn't part of half of them, so I can't say that. Yeah. And Clay has had too many no shows for me. So Dre, just incredible defender, and then honorable mention. I'm surprised this guy's still on the board. Kawhi,
I was gonna say him as honorable mention.
When like the play. The fucking play that I remember most about Kawhi Leonard's defense isn't even a play where you could see him on the court. It's in the finals when LeBron's at the free throw line and Kawhi checks in the game. LeBron turns back and goes, "Oh, fuck."
Crazy.
That's the kind of defender he was. And that was like 21-year-old Kawhi Leonard guarding arguably the best version of LeBron James on both ends of the court. And just bothering him that much that he didn't want to see him on the court. Depoy, steals, blocks, guy. He's so good that he would guard a star player and teams started just sending him to the corner, so he won't be involved in the action. They'll say, "All right, we'll play 4-on-4 here, and we'll try to figure it out." That is an all-time defender.
Yeah, I'm gonna have one honorable mention. I think we picked. First of all, I think the people we've stated have rightfully so. They've earned their spot, and my honorable mention is gonna be. I have to give credit to this player, even though this era of his is just beginning, because he's a rookie. But
I know where you're going.
It's Chet Holmgren.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, genuinely, this man is otherworldly on that end of the court. He should be in considerations for Depoy as a rookie. That's how impactful he is to this team's defense. His defensive rating when he is on the floor with them is ridiculous. His talk about rim protection, talk about paint protection. He doesn't foul. Talk about verticality. He doesn't jump. Talk about being in different schemes, free roam, or guarding bigs. You know, he's skinny. His era is just beginning, but I wouldn't be shocked if in here from now in like 10 years he has 2-3 defensive player of the years in his trophy case. So.
Yeah, definitely. My honorable mention, we spoke about him a lot already, but it has to be honest. I feel like
Yep.
if we haven't chosen him already, it's just, again, you probably don't want him on ball, even though he's not a bad on ball defender, but off ball, you just don't want him anywhere near you. And so it's to a point where the best thing you can do, and the thing teams do, is look, we'll just deal with him on the ball. We'll just whoever he's guarding, just screen for me. Let's bring him over here so we can get something going somewhere else. Like, I'm not gonna try to score. Let's just get him, put him in the way to get him out the way in some sense. And so we can't just not mention Giannis as far as defense goes. And so, and honestly, that's just gonna move us into our next.
Hold on. We can't forget a couple other guys.
Yeah.
We have to just mention their names: LeBron, Anthony Davis, Wemby. If you're talking next generation, these guys are all special players. Like, we have to mention them. At least PG, and I consider more of a 3 than a 2.
Brooke Lopez.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Lopez. Brooke Lopez has
and the resurgence of Brooke Lopez.
Yeah, just the morph of a back to the basket, a no defense player to a legitimate DPOY finalist. What a career! Like,
one of the reasons Giannis is able to do what he does.
Yeah,
exactly.
Schematically, he's able to guard his ass on the back doors.
Exactly, 100%. I just wanted to mention those guys.
Sure.
Jaren Jackson, of course, we got to mention him too. Already a DPOY young player. But yeah, there's a lot of great defensive talent in the NBA already.
Yeah, 100%. And in the future, we're gonna end up mentioning All-Star Thompson on here. We also got to mention him, but that team is just like we can't give him that right now, unfortunately. MVP. Now, let's remember, most valuable player of the era, but we can't pick the same guy. And so there's 2 guys who are obvious. One of us just can't pick them. And so we have to go somewhere else. And that's just what it is.
And he gets last.
Yeah, I get last this time. So, but I already got my guy anyway, because I knew that was going to happen. So we'll just go. Honestly, we've been rotating around. I think Frankie went first last time. So
yeah, Lou first.
MVP of this era, LeBron James.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here, man? He carried the torch from the MJ basketball brand to literally having one of the most prolific careers in terms of longevity, in terms of production, in terms of carrying the brand of basketball and making it, because MVP is not just what he's done on the court. Like, he leads the league in points, points accounted for. Like, just ridiculous. Like, he leads just about only player with like 35, 10, and 10. Like, ridiculous player, 35, 8, and 8. Like, ridiculous player. His stats say everything. But in terms of impact on basketball, just second to probably none of this era for sure. Maybe all time. Who knows? Him and MJ's impacts. Magic Johnson as well. Obviously, these level of impacts from these players aren't seen. It's just crazy. With even all the pressure that he was given, he was still even able to surpass that. So MVP of this era, LeBron James. He's the 101 of this era for sure. So
real easy.
It's obvious, but just go ahead and say it.
If it's not LeBron, it's got to be Steph. I mean, he's changed the game of basketball with his 3-point shooting, just how much of the game of basketball has become about 3-point shooting, using that as leverage to get rim possessions. I still feel he is underrated and like, because he's not that pick and roll, pull it guy. He gets so much of his off the ball. You talk about unselfish teammates, like, it's Dwayne Wade for wanting LeBron and Chris Bosh to come here and let's win. People aren't going to remember that. They're going to say it's the easy way. But Steph also took a back seat to KD. Come here. Come. We want to win. This is going to make my life easier. Let's go do it. This is about winning. This is about winning for me. And, it's him and LeBron. That the winners are him and LeBron. And it was Iguodala too. But bring me Steph Curry, 4-time champ. multiple-time MVP, unanimous MVP, one of the greatest to ever do it. One of the most fun players to watch get it going. I think his impact off the court, like Lou mentioned, like you see kids shooting from way too far, and it's just, you know, he's one of the most fun players to watch, and I think that's why so many young kids and even adults like want to watch him play, and he's just an incredible talent, and we're all fortunate to have gotten to see him play his whole career.
Yeah, and so there's a little bit of suspense here on my pick, but not really, but also sort of. And so
I guess.
Yes. I got to go with Giannis, and I think this is an important point to make. And I'm surprised we didn't get to this point as far as Giannis goes yet. Well, we didn't expound on it fully. I feel like what happens with Giannis a lot of times is, I wouldn't say he gets underrated, but he gets a little undermined because, like Lou mentioned, he doesn't shoot the ball. In the free throws, he has issues with. And I used to look at the game that way, but a little before they won a championship, I had to really take a step back and look at the end of the day, it's about impact on what you do on the floor and how much it helps your team win. And it doesn't really matter how you get it. It's whether you get it or not. And so, okay, he doesn't shoot threes. He's still unstoppable. And you also can't score on him. And it's to a point where he's so elite on both of those ends to where he can just will his team to a win with these things. And also, we mentioned Russell Westbrook's motor, but you put Russell Westbrook's motor into a 6'11", however many pound specimen, and it's just this otherworldly thing that you can't really even explain. And so it's just like, I understand. And look, I couldn't pick LeBron, I couldn't pick Steph, but the next best thing I would have to say is Giannis. And I could have gone KD, and I will have to be honest with this, even though I have no issue with the Warriors move, but it kind of takes him out of it in a sense. I can't really just call him most valuable when they already had something going, and he hasn't had much luck outside of that spot. The Suns are struggling right now. The Nets didn't work out, and so I couldn't bring myself to say Kevin Durant for those reasons. Yep. Not necessarily the Golden State thing, but what's been going on afterwards and just how those situations haven't worked. And so I feel like after that, Giannis is the next obvious answer, because like I said, it's not about the way you impact the game, it's how much you impact the game. I don't know if there's too many people who impact the basketball game more than Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely fair. There's a lot of, KD is obviously one guy you can mention. There's Jokic, one of the guys. Harden. No, but Jokic, there's a lot of guys we talked about already. But there's definitely a tiers when it comes to like the MVP of the era. And the hard thing about it is that Steph and Bron, for the most part, have already gone through their whole careers. KD as well. Yeah. The high primes, the high MVP years. They can still compete for championships, but they're pretty much done winning MVPs. Like it's Giannis, it's Jokic, it's Embiid right now. And Giannis is not a bad pick at all. Jokic, I think Jokic, he's probably got next for a while. I mean, he won it already, but he's probably got a hold on this league as long as him and his teammates are healthy.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't pick Jokic is because of how much Giannis impacts the defensive end. Also, I couldn't ignore that.
Completely fair.
I couldn't ignore it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to episode 9 of Playoff Hour. We're already on episode 9. Look, I have a lot of fun with it, getting a lot of positive feedback. We appreciate that. Make sure you give us more of it, though, so you can help us with the algorithms and all that stuff.
Please.
My social media is, I'm on Twitter, or if you want to call it X, you can. Kenny Spencer, DA. Frankie, give your socials real quick.
Frankie G _ that's Frankie FRANKY G _ on Twitter.
And Lou?
I was say underscore at Saucy Takes, no spaces, TAKEZ at the end, and on Twitter as well. Thank you guys, man.
Love y'all.
Yeah, and man, thanks for tuning in. If you like the music, that's by my brother Devin Spence. There's Black Glow Music on Instagram and TikTok. Go ahead and follow him. Download his EPs as well. He has 2 BDPs out. And we will see y'all next time.